Tesla, Amazon, Microsoft. These companies are all either building robots or investing in robotics companies today. And if the world's most powerful companies are all focusing on creating the same product, it's probably worth asking why. What is their goal here? And really, the answer is they're trying to create the perfect employee. A robot that can do most manual labor jobs for a fraction of the price and much more efficiently. And whether you like it or not, their progress in this field will change humanity's future. But there are many forms and shapes that a robot's body can take. So why do all the major ones that are being built today look like us? First of all, let me warn you, this is my first time recording myself in a video with like a camera. So I'm going unscripted here for the most part. I mean, I have some notes, but back into the topic. So obviously humanoid bodies aren't the most efficient or the fastest or the most dangerous. So why are these robots being built to look like us? Well, modern robots can usually be broken down into three categories. You have wheeled robots, quadruped robots like Spot, and humanoid robots. And each one of these has its own advantages. If you wanted to build a robot that worked well in a smooth factory or a warehouse, you would want something like Amazon's Hercules, a wheeled robot that is very fast at moving things from point A to point B. If you wanted a robot that could traverse irregular terrain, like steps or hills or hallways, it would be good to be a quadruped robot because they always have multiple points of contact with the ground. That's why you see them used in construction sites for things like inspections. So if humanoids aren't the most stable or the most efficient or the fastest, why are so many billionaires funding the development of humanoid robots? Well, the environments that we live in are built for humans. Generally speaking, the home, the workspace, the store, everywhere you go has been built for humans, by humans. Stairs, doors, shelves, cabinets, dressers. These things are all at human height and human reach. So going back to what these companies want, right? They want to build something that automates human manual labor. So ask yourself, what's easier? Redesigning every human environment and workplace, or just building a robot that already fits into those workplaces? Agility Robotics, which created Digit and which is funded primarily by Amazon, has stated that Digit is designed to go where people go and do useful work safely in spaces designed for people. So basically they designed Digit for the factory instead of designing the factory for Digit. Digit fits into existing infrastructure, which means that it's easier to scale, easier to implement into existing workplaces, and cheaper overall to build. Boston Dynamics, which is another key player in the robotics industry, has said something similar. Don't restructure the workspace, just enable flexible automation. But the real goal here isn't just putting a robot into a factory, it's replacing labor. I'm not going to go into the question of what happens when these robots replace all of us, because obviously that's a topic for another video where I spend an hour talking about it. So we're just going to skip that and instead talk about the actual event of labor replacement. Labor is the largest cost in most industries. It accounts for roughly $40 trillion in GDP every year, which is like half of the world's economy. Figure 01 has stated that we believe humanoids will revolutionize a variety of industries, from corporate labor roles to assisting individuals in the home to caring for the elderly, and to building new worlds on other planets. These are obviously very expansive goals, but if a robot can do even a fraction of these things, it would be world-changing. I mean, imagine a robot that could do 10% of this work. That's hundreds of millions of people that will be affected. And every company wants growth. That's like the entire purpose of a CEO, and that's everything that a shareholder wants. They want a company to continue growing. But Earth's population is not exponentially going to grow. At one point or another, it's going to plateau, and we're already in the middle of that. So for exponential growth, companies need to innovate, and usually this is done through automation. Automation means more efficiency. Historically, automation was done with task-specific systems. So things like robotic arms that move things from one place to another. They do one job, and they do that job very well. The humanoid approach is basically the opposite of that. As Figure 01 put it, we could either have millions of different types of robots serving unique tasks, or one humanoid robot with a general interface serving millions of tasks. We believe general-purpose humanoid robots built for human environments is the desired route to have the largest overall impact. And that is the billion-dollar bet that Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are all making. If they can build a robot that does the work of many different specialized machines, even if it's not as efficient, it's better because it simplifies deployment and scaling. But building a general-purpose robot obviously isn't just about hardware or the body, it's also about software. Every robot needs to have a way to train and learn new tasks. And a robot that has a body like ours makes training much simpler. So robots, generally speaking, learn through teleoperation, simulation, reinforcement learning, visual demonstrations, videos. And if you have a robot that looks like us, it's a lot easier to map our human movements onto the robot's body. For example, think about teleoperation, where somebody puts on like VR goggles and then they have the controllers on their hands or a motion capture suit. It's easy to take the movement of your body, if you have that suit on, and then translate it into a humanoid robot's body. Like if you move your left arm, the robot would move its left arm. But think about what would happen if the robot had 4 arms or 8 legs. It might be more efficient at a specific task, but it would be a lot harder to train that robot. Training a humanoid body is a lot simpler, especially as robots begin to learn more and more from things like video. But even with that all in mind, humanoids still might not be the best bet. The humanoid body has its own major downsides. We have a very complex shape. We're made up of a lot of different delicate parts. We are energy inefficient and slower than most wheeled robots. We're fragile when we fall over. In smooth, flat environments, a wheeled robot would be better. In completely irregular terrain, like in a rocky hillside, it would be better to be a quadruped. If you wiped the earth clean and erased all of us, another form might win. So billionaires aren't building robots with humanoid bodies just because they want to or because they want to create something in their own image. They're doing it because it makes it easier for those robots to interact with human infrastructure, tools, environments, buildings, stairways, doorways, and so on. The human body is flexible and very adaptable. We're not perfect, but it is easier to build robots to work in our world instead of just redesigning it. And that is why so many billionaires and so many major tech companies are creating humanoid robots today.